Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to zigzag stitch your tubes together for your 20 strip tote. Now you've already filled your strips with either Duet Fuse 2 or cotton batting, and I suggest that you lay your strips out in order that you want them to appear in the bag. Now you're using Duet Fuse 2. Now this comes, you can either purchase this on pre-cut rolls, or you can also purchase it in a yard package. So it comes available in two different types. This part of your bag, these are the center strips right here. These are going to be a lot sturdier than your batting filled strips. Your batting filled strips will be on the side of the bag as well as the upper part of the bag. So lay your strips out. Now I pin my strips to a foam core board. It's about a 1/2 inch, and I just use the flower pins in the order that I want them to appear in the bag. So these strips right here will be in the center of the bag. They're the sturdier strips with the Duet Fuse. These strips are going to be on the side. And these strips right up here are going to be on the top of the bag. So when you zigzag stitch, we mentioned this in another video, but the two things that are going to be very important is your needles and your thread. We suggest using a Janome purple tip needle or the Inspira brand denim 110-18 needle. If you experience skip stitches, these are the best needles to use. Every machine is a little bit different, so when we find that people are having difficulty with skip stitches, these two things seem to help. The other thing that you want to use is a thin piecing thread. This is 50 weight Aurifil, and this right here is Superior Thread So Fine. It's a 50 weight thread also, and that's good for bags because it is a polyester. The other thing that we are going to use, just like we used in the in making the individual tubes, is a presser foot that has a flange in the center. As you're zigzag stitching, that flange can ride right in the center of your tubes, and it will help you focus your attention on your zigzag stitching, and it will keep your strips and your stitching nice and straight. You want to make sure that yours has the ability to do a zigzag stitch. So you want a wide needle opening in the center. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take two strips and move to the sewing machine and show you how to zigzag stitch. I'm going to take these first two strips. Now these are the strips that are made from Duet Fuse. So I'll place them underneath. Now I am using a walking foot on this machine, but it has the flange right here in the center. So I'll place the flange right in between the two tubes or strips. And I'm going to use a 5.5 zigzag stitch width and a 2.5 length. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the zigzag stitch. Now you want to keep your strips nice and straight, so you can actually put your strips up over your shoulders. Let the machine do the feeding. All you have to do is guide your tubes. Just put light pressure on either side. If I held on to one side, I'm going to show you what will happen. So I'm going to hold on to the left side. Now I'm not holding very strongly, but I think you can see how it's curving when I pull on one side. So as you're zigzag stitching, just put a little pressure on either side just to guide it, keep it nice and straight. In a minute, I'll show you how to straighten out that curve if you find you've got curves in your tubes. Now, here I've ended these two tubes. I will start another set of tubes right after that, almost like strip piecing, so I'm strip zigzag stitching. So I will lift the presser foot, bring this back over here, and you can see the curve more pronounced now. To straighten out that curve, all you have to do is pull it in the opposite direction of the curve and it will straighten right out. So I would do that with all of your strips before you do the next step. Now I am zigzag stitching two tubes together. Notice how when I've laid out my tubes, I've laid them out so that the seam side of the tubes are facing in each pair. So seam sides are facing here, seam sides are facing here, seam sides are facing here, all the way through, even on the upper part. That actually helps to keep your seams, your tubes a little bit straighter when you're zigzag stitching. So you'll zigzag stitch all of your pairs together, like I have done here. Zigzag stitch pairs together, pairs together, pairs together. I've already zigzag stitched some of these over here. Zigzag stitch all of your pairs together, and then you're going to zigzag sets of 4 together all the way through the bag. Now I've kept these separate to talk about them, but you'll be zigzag stitching all of these pieces together. Then you're going to zigzag stitch your cover pieces together. And here's another strip where I've zigzag stitched and I've got a fairly pronounced curve in it. So I'm just going to pull in the opposite direction of that curve to straighten it out. So I'm going to pull it up. The curve was down. Don't over straighten it because then you'll have a curve in the other direction, but just pull in the opposite direction of that curve and you'll straighten it right out. So do the lower part of your bag, zigzag stitch all your strips together, and then zigzag stitch all the strips together for the upper portion of your bag. Now I'm going to move this out of the way, place it over on the other side of my table. And then I'm going to show you now, once you've zigzag stitched the lower portion of your bag together, it's going to be fairly wide, you're going to cut that into 2 pieces. To create the mirror image, you're simply going to take one piece and put it together with the second piece. And then you're going to zigzag stitch these 2 together. Now I'm going to move to the sewing machine once again and zigzag stitch that center seam. So this is wider. If this is wider and you want to make sure that your pieces are exactly matched, put the presser foot down. I'm going to put my needle down. If your throat plate isn't this wide, simply fold up one of your pieces in order to do this next step. So now I'm going to zigzag stitch that center seam. Now when I get to the bottom, I want this bottom edge to exactly match. So I'm just going to hold it together like that. So now you have finished the lower portion of your bag. You're going to bind with a 2.5-inch binding each raw edge of this bag body. Just simply sew the binding to the outside, flip it to the inside, and hand sew it. Now that you've got your lower bag body done, what you're going to do is, this is the upper portion of the bag. In this sample, I'm using all the same fabric, but again, you can use different strips. You are going to cut 2 strips from this long strip right here. You're going to cut 2 strips the width of your lower bag body. So cut 1. You want to measure it if you want to, or you can use your lower bag body as an example. Cut 1, and then you're going to cut a second one. Now you'll notice that I have some left over. This section right here will be used for your closure. Once you have these 2 pieces cut, you're simply going to take that piece. Now you've bound the edge of this bag right here. You're going to take these pieces, that you've cut 2 of them, and you're going to zigzag stitch these pieces to each end of your lower bag body. And that's it.